funding of the Department of Homeland Security, which could mean another potential government shutdown just 1 week from today. Joining us right now is Delaware Democrat Senator Chris Coons. And Senator, I can't believe we're even talking about this, being back at potentially being a shutdown after the longest shutdown in history that, I don't know, led to much of anything or anything other than pain and frustration on the average American's part. What's going on?
The last shutdown was about the Affordable Care Act and health care costs. This one is about reining in ICE and CBP. And if I can put it as simply as possible, what I'm asking for, what Democrats are asking for, is that these federal agents follow the same.
Hold on. So the first one was about health care. This one's about ICE, right? But I thought Democrats believed in democracy. I thought that's what they believed in. Even though we live in a constitutional republic, yes, I know, before somebody comments that, I'm just going along with the Democrat narrative for now to make a point. They always talk about democracy, democracy, democracy. We believe in democracy. Well, we democratically elected Donald J. Trump, okay? So we wanted his agenda. And not only that, because some people might say, well, you know, maybe, okay, fair. Maybe some folks didn't want his whole agenda. They just didn't want Kamala's. Okay, cool. Well, why did we give him the House? And why did we give him the Senate if we didn't want his whole agenda? We democratically elected these folks. And Democrats will be out here marching in the streets, pandering to folks, pandering to illegals. Democracy, democracy, democracy. But when we democratically elect officials to run the country the way we want it to be ran, they want to shut down the government. They want to shut it down. Democrats are the types of folks who, you ever been like playing basketball somewhere and, you know, somebody brought their basketball up to the court, right? And after they lose, they get mad and say, I'm taking my ball and going home. Maybe they don't say those words, but that's what they do, right? They get mad, they grab their basketball and they leave because they're mad. They lost. That's Democrats right now. That's Democrats. They want to take their ball and go home because they lost. And they're pouting like little children. We democratically elected Donald J. Trump. We democratically gave him the House and the Senate. We should have the agenda that we voted for. But according to Democrats, it's only democracy when Democrats are in control. That's basically what it is. When they are in control, it's not a democracy. Which tells you everything you need to know about the Democrat Party. They're not about democracy at all. They're simply about power. They want to be the dictators of this world and of this country. I'm sure they would love to be the dictators of this world as well. Goodness gracious. Carry on.
Same rules that state and local law enforcement follow every day.
If you shut down the government over this, if you shut down, not the government, but if you shut down, let's say we go back to what happens with TSA and airports and people who get caught up in this, is that the way to do this?
It is literally the only leverage we have in the minority, and bluntly,
there's a reason why it's the only leverage you have, because we didn't want you to have any leverage. If we could have taken that away too, we would have. All right? And we're working on that. Okay? Make no mistake about it. All right? We're going to try to elect so many Republicans that your little measly votes don't mean a thing. Okay? The John Thunes of the world, once he's up for re-election, he's getting voted out. The Lindsey Grahams of the world, he is getting voted out. The John Cornyns are getting voted out. Everybody who is against the America First agenda, they are all getting Liz Cheney'd. Yeah. They are all getting Liz Cheney'd. Embarrassed electorally. Embarrassed. We ain't playing no games no more. The game's over. Your time is up.
I think our ask is very reasonable. I met with law enforcement leaders from Delaware this week to say, help me. Do you think this is something we should deliver on?
Senator, you're a reasonable person, but if that happens and things get shut down again, from the perspective of average Americans or business people who are trying to get around,
I understand why they'd be frustrated.
Well, it almost sounded like
you can't get to a funeral, if you can't get to a wedding, if you can't go on a plane.
But it sounded like you were justifying the last shutdown. Like in hindsight, you haven't learned a lesson that You're saying, well, okay, we got healthcare problems. These subsidies. I don't know whether you put the whole issue of rising healthcare costs and what you were trying to accomplish last time, but that wasn't the right. In hindsight, don't you look back and say, I wish Democrats had not done that?
A core challenge for us is that we are in the minority in both the House and the Senate.
That happens all the time.
And we're not able to make change.
When the Republicans are in the minority, they are in the minority.
They have also used shutdowns to
They
try
have,
to
but
change.
to the
And I
great.
didn't like it then, and I don't like it now.
You're mortified by it.
I have no enthusiasm for a shutdown. But to be clear,
you guys are so skilled.
The killings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy.
Agreed.
I've gotten more calls from Delawareans in the last 2 weeks about this than anything in years. They want to see action.
Have we not started to see the administration and the president recognize that they went too far with what President?
I love how they always want. Also, I love how they always want to bring up Alex Pretty and Renee Good, but they never wanted to stand for Jocelyn Nungry. You guys remember that? Well, all the Democrats sat down, right? All of these individuals who have been pine boxed. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be talking about a situation of more Americans who recently were put 6 feet in the dirt by another illegal. So go and subscribe to Extra Rich, all right, the other channel. Link is in the description. Because I'm gonna be talking about that over there. I'm gonna show. Look. I want y'all to see this this truck here. I'm gonna throw this up big on the screen so y'all can see that. An illegal was driving this semi truck. Where are the Democrats talking? Where's Chris Coons on that situation? He wants to talk about Renee Good and Alex Pretty, who were one was attempting to run over an ICE agent. Right, I broke down the video, played it in slow-mo, ran it back. I broke the whole video down, okay? Some of you guys remember that clip. If you haven't seen it, definitely go and check it out. It's probably a few weeks. It's a little old now, so you're going to have to do some scrolling, but it's there. I don't even remember what I titled it, but I broke the whole video down to show everybody, not to hide, not to run, right? Because that's not what we do. To show everybody, no, she actually hit this man with the car, with the vehicle. He got hit. All right. It's clear as day. Alex Pretty situation. Why are you fighting with law enforcement with a gun on you? Regardless of everything else. Take everything else out. Why are you fighting with law enforcement with a gun on you? Common sense will tell you, yeah, that's probably a bad idea. This one ain't going in too well. Just common sense. Common sense. Unfortunately, common sense is no longer common, and I don't know how to bring common sense back because I just don't know. But I wish I could, because if common sense was common, you wouldn't have situations like Alex Pretty. You wouldn't be fighting with law enforcement who are heavily armed, right? Heavily armed in a stressful situation. You wouldn't be fighting with them with a gun on you. It's just not smart. It's just not smart. We could say law enforcement was wrong. We could say we could say whatever. But the bottom line is, common sense is lacking in society today. It's just facts. It's just facts. Because you wouldn't fight with law enforcement with a gun on you. You wouldn't fight with law enforcement at all. If you disagree with them, take it up in court. That's what courtrooms are for. Fighting with law enforcement is not conducive to making it back home. How many times do you have to watch a movie before you know how it ends? You know how that movie ends. You 6 feet in the dirt. People gonna cry for you. Some people gonna put you on a t-shirt for 6 months until that t-shirt is faded. And now everybody's forgotten about you. Congratulations, you played yourself.
Trump has already done
a little bit.
He's
withdrawn some officers. They're talking about maybe body cams.
Wearing body cams, I think, is a great idea.
Of course,
but
this is what every agency does.
Can't you reach that with that? Aren't they feeling that same pressure that you are getting from your constituents?
So they're going to play for time and hope that the subject changes. We've put forward, I think the risk was that we would overreact.
That's where I'm coming at. Whoever
we put on the table
on this may lose.
Right. Body cameras on, masks off, name ID badge, which every other police department in the country does.
Nope, not happening. I agree with body cameras. I'm not opposed to body cameras. Yeah, body cameras. It creates a level of transparency. Okay, just like with the Renee Good situation, when the camera recording is what really got us an even better angle of the officer being hit by the vehicle. So really, it would only serve to help us for officers to have body cameras. It ain't gonna help liberals, because liberals be coming up with all types of nonsense. But when those cameras come out, when the footage comes out, footage don't lie, right? And so I agree with that, but not the mask and not the names. Nope. As a matter of fact, I have a clip that I was going to post as a YouTube short of a black gentleman talking about one of his friends who became an ICE agent. And before he was an ICE agent, he was a liberal. He was a Democrat. But after he became an ICE agent, he became a Republican because he saw how crazy liberals were. And he was like, bro, he hates liberals now. He hates them. He's just out there doing his job, trying to provide for his family with a high paying job. And he's getting harassed. All types of stuff happening to him. I would try to find it, but I got a lot of clips. It's going to take me some digging. But yeah, maybe I'll try to post it today as a YouTube short if I remember. Remind me if I forget. But yeah, crazy. People just out there doing their job. And some of them happen to be Democrats doing their job. These liberals out here are turning them into Republicans. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Doxing people's families. Nah, they ain't taking their mask off. They're not putting their names on their uniforms. Nope. Not happening.
And then simple rules of engagement for use of force and for accountability. That's the sort of thing we ought to be able to agree on.
They wouldn't need masks if the left and Democrats hadn't ginned up the opposition to the point where people think it's okay to break the law by disrupting federal law enforcement officials, obstructing, disrupting, kicking out, whatever you want to talk about, all against the law.
Why does that require masks?
Because they're getting doxxed.
Okay.
Right?
There should be severe consequences for attacking a police officer or doxing. Like, I hear you. Police officers need to.
Are you really going to stand on that? If you're going to really stand on it, all right, cool. See, I'm not an unreasonable individual, right? I would like to believe that I'm a reasonable individual. If there are going to be serious consequences for doxing and harassing these law enforcement or harming law enforcement, I mean serious consequences. I'm talking 20 years plus. 20 years plus. You dox a federal official, 20 years. 20 years. If you harm any federal official, 40. If we can do that, all right, cool. We'll take the mask off. We'll put the name on. We'll get the body cameras. Let's go. Let's ride. Let's ride. I think that's reasonable. That's reasonable. Because that's the whole reason they're wearing the mask anyway, is to protect their families. If you harm one of these individuals in any way, matter of fact, nah, I take that back. If you harm one of these individuals in any way, shape, or form, it's a mandatory minimum of 50 years in federal prison. 50 years in federal prison. Congratulations, you played yourself. You played yourself. And by golly, if you happen to pine box any of them, it's the death penalty. No questions asked. No questions asked. Death penalty. If you dox any of them, 30 years. 30 years. Because you're putting their families at risk. 30 years. If we can agree to that, we'll put on the body cameras, which I already agreed to the body cameras anyway. I ain't tripping about the body cameras. But take off the mask. We'll put the name on the uniform. The last name on the uniform. I think that's reasonable. Because you're severely punishing individuals who commit these crimes and are the central reason why the masks are being put on in the first place. You're severely punishing those individuals to stop it. And so, all right, cool. But y'all let me know in the comments what you think.
Be safe as they conduct their important job of protecting us and through law and order. But, there's fewer than 1,000 police officers in Minneapolis. To deploy 4 times that overwhelmed Minneapolis. Like, let's be clear. Roving patrols
a lot of these
of masked guys in non-standard uniforms.
These are not protests.
They're pulling back the
these are riots.
They have to.
These are riots. These aren't just protests. These aren't exercising your First Amendment rights. These are disrupting federal law enforcement officials trying to do their job.
If you can't stand there and blow a whistle and use a camera when police are doing a police action, then we don't have a First Amendment.
No, that's fine.
They are claiming that they should be able to enter your home without a judicial warrant, with only an administrative warrant. Some of my most conservative colleagues agree that you ought to have a judicial warrant. That's a basic line.
Bottom line is, if you want the mask to come off and the last name to be put on the uniform, then there's severe punishments for harming any ICE agent in any way, shape, or form. Because ICE agents have had their fingers bitten I don't know if you guys have seen it, but like literally, I think one ICE agent lost the tip of his finger. Like somebody bit the tip of his finger off. Like, bro, you do that? It's a mandatory minimum of 50 years in prison. 50. Bye. Your life is done, son. Listen. I hope you're not in your 30s or 40s. Congratulations. You just got the death penalty, basically. You gonna die in prison. Bye. See ya. You know, it's crazy out here, man. It's crazy, and I agree, bro. Listen, all of this is Democrats' fault. Chris Coons tried to say there that Senator Chris Coons tried to say there that there's 1,000 officers in Minneapolis or whatever, and Trump surged 4 times that of DHS. Who cares? Shouldn't matter. What overwhelmed the system is all of your liberal soldiers running out into the streets acting crazy. See, if he surged into the city and picked up all the illegals, they could have surged right back out, just like they have done in other cities around this country. All right? I'm sure some of you have seen it. ICE comes in, they swoop in, they do what they need to do, and then they up out of there. You might have a couple of ICE agents that get left over just to try to pick up the stragglers or whatever, but for the most part, they swoop in with a lot of force, hitting a lot of targets all at once. Boom, 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 and then they're out of there. And they leave a few ICE agents left over to kind of pick up the stragglers. When the stragglers come out of the dark, the ones that they couldn't catch when they swooped in heavily. But of course, I'm a Nazi for saying that. Anyway, y'all get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions. Stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.